Welcome to the Eye Test, a fantasy football podcast for those who are tired of hearing boring stats all day. As always, I am your host, Bobby. And of course, I'm joined by my good friends and co-hosts, John and Paul. Today is Thursday, episode 14, and this is our What's in the Flex segment. Players that we feel like have ascended from bench spots into startable flex positions. Now, I'm going to kick it off here because this is really significant, one of the more significant developments that came from week 10, and that is the Cooper Kupp injury. Looks like he's most likely going to be out for the year. The Rams are in the basement of their division, look really bad. So it doesn't make much sense for them to bring him back. So that leaves Allen Robinson as the wide receiver one on the Rams. And I'm not saying that I think he's going to go crazy like Cooper Kupp did or anything like that, but anytime you're a wide receiver one on any team, frankly, you're at least in the flex conversation. And Allen Robinson has come back a little bit from his like 4 or 5 point performances in the beginning of the season. So I'm expecting him at least to get a little more uptick in volume. The Rams don't run the ball well. And Allen Robinson, I think, is going to return some flex value here. What do you guys think?
I think that given what Matt Stafford has shown us before, I think, what's the white guy's name? Ben Skoranek. I think he's going to.
Okay. We're going that route again.
No, I think I love it.
I didn't even put that together. He's like, there's got to be a white receiver on this team.
Yeah, got to be a white guy I can throw it. Who wants to have breakfast with me this morning, says Matt Stafford. But no,
Matt
Bob,
Stafford has
I
to get
think,
healthy too.
Yeah, but I just think it's logic. You bring Allen Robinson in, Cooper Kupp goes down. You have to be drawing all those Cooper Kupp plays. At least give Allen Robinson a chance. So at least the volume will be there for him. And he's a good enough player where I think that he will definitely, obviously, no one can really fill Cooper Kupp's shoes on that offense, but I really do like Robinson moving forward.
You're playing relatively easy defenses coming up. They got New Orleans, Kansas City, Seattle, and then Vegas. So that's 3 out of those 4 weeks. I can see them having some pretty good offensive production there. But hopefully he can get more than his average of 6 targets per game. Hopefully if you're a Allen Robinson owner, you can see him get up closer to 8 and 9 because that's where you'll start to see some success, hopefully. So for my What's in the Flex player of the week, I'm in a pickle here because it doesn't make fantasy sense, but if you are looking at the points that these two players are getting, it kind of makes you think. You know how we say you never want to start like a tight end and then a tight end in your flex because it limits your upside?
Right.
Well, I would also say something that goes along with that is like starting 2 running backs on the same team. In fact, we've spoken about this. Bobby had some choice words for a manager in our league that liked to start A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones. We shit on that a lot, but I propose to you a new opinion of mine, and that would be starting Raheem Mostert as my running back 2 and Jeff Wilson as my flex.
Wow. Okay.
It's crazy, I know. But the last 2 weeks, they've both put up like the same numbers. So 2 weeks ago, I think Raheem was in like the low teens and Jeff Wilson was hanging around like 10 or 11. And then this week, Mostert has 18 points and Jeff Wilson has 22. So I'm driving myself crazy on what running back to start in the Dolphins backfield. I don't think I'm actually going to start both. That's a little crazy. But dude, if it happens again this week, I might start thinking about it. He's like seeing a lot of red zone carries because the Dolphins love to get to the red zone. They're constantly getting to the red zone.
Is it Wilson you're talking about?
Yeah, Jeff Wilson.
Okay.
Yeah, both Mostert and Wilson are getting red zone carries. That's the thing. You don't know who it's going to go to, but they're both getting like the equal amount of shares in the ball. So it's driving me crazy. But I will say, take the fact that I own both of them out of this. If you are a Jeff Wilson owner and he's riding your bench, he is worth a flex spot right now because he's seeing a lot of production and he's fitting into the offense. So if he's on your bench, I would look to promoting him towards your flex.
Yeah, and John, I will gladly take one of those running backs off your hands if it makes your decision a little easier. I'm
Yeah.
in a bit of a pinch right now.
Need a tight end. Ooh,
You need a
Isaiah
tight end?
Likely.
Yeah, I need a tight end. I need a lot right now.
I have running backs.
Okay.
Trade that in 4 days.
Okay. I know I gotta make a decision. I gotta make some negotiations soon, but the only thing that sucks is a guy who I'm gonna talk about on my next go round. But that's a running back that I have high hopes on that I think moving forward. He's just on bye this week, if anybody knows who he is. But going off of what John said about you would be crazy to start 2 tight ends. You'd be crazy, right? Maybe not.
Right.
No.
Maybe
Maybe
not.
not.
If you have a solid tight end and you have Cole Kmet on your bench, let's get a little crazy, all right? Let's get a little crazy. Back-to-back 20-point weeks for who is Justin Fields' clear favorite target. There's not a lot of passing to go around in this Bears offense. That is very obvious. Justin Fields is running the ball all over the place, but he does seem to be linking up with Cole Kmet after the bye. Didn't they have a bye 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
No, they haven't had their bye yet.
They haven't had their bye yet. Okay. But regardless, they face the Lions and the Dolphins, which is a pass happy game, and then they get the Atlanta Falcons weak secondary this week. It wouldn't be crazy to me if Cole Kmet, he's got 13 targets in the past 2 games and 5 touchdowns in the last 3.
Wow.
So, yes, Justin Fields is looking for him completely in the red zone. Why not ride the hot hand? I think if I looked at a lineup and I saw Kelsey at tight end and Cole Kmet at flex, I'm okay with it. If I see Andrews and then Kmet, where it starts getting a little shady, a little crazy, is if it's like Gerald Everett and Kmet. You might have some better options there, but I love Cole Kmet right now. I think he's awesome.
I'm gonna be the guy that says Cole Kmet this is a fluke. It's a fluke. It's a fluke. I think he'll still have a good game against Atlanta because, like you said, Atlanta defense is weak. Look at his past 2 games where pretty much his only 2 good games of the season. Against Miami, Swiss cheese. Against Detroit, the king of Swiss cheese. And then after he plays Atlanta, he plays the Jets, good defense. The Packers, decent defense. Philly after the bye, good defense. Buffalo, good defense. At Detroit, could have another good game there, but that's not until week 17. Unless, I know we've been talking about Justin Fields a lot, but I'm still not on the Justin Fields passing train. Fantasy relevance, yes, but not on him making other players fantasy relevant, I guess.
That's fine, Bob. What if I told you that the Bears in their last 1, 2, 3, 4 games, the lowest they scored was 29 points?
I would say that hasn't resulted in Cole Kmet production aside from the last 2 games.
But still, this Bears offense is looking sneaky, and Justin Fields, looks
I don't
good.
trust the Bears. I don't trust the Bears. Dude. Not yet. Not yet.
Hey, I said it was crazy. But I'm just saying, why not ride a hot hand?
No,
I think it depends. It depends on
agree.
your standings in the playoff in the fantasy league. If you're in a position where you have to just go for home runs, then it makes sense because the ceiling on Kmet is very high compared to maybe some players on your bench. It's just you're gonna be having an anxiety attack on the couch all of Sunday.
Yeah. Let's be honest. If you're even considering starting a tight end in your flex, your tight end better be Mark Andrews or Travis Kelce. There is no reason you should be starting 2 tight ends unless you have, honestly, the only 2 tight ends that are consistently productive.
I started Zach Ertz and Isaiah Likely a couple weeks ago, and I had other options at flex.
Yeah, but likely that's because Mark Andrews was hurt.
But I'm saying then twist it around to Zach Ertz. Like it's still Zach Ertz is a 10-point floor.
R.I.P.
Yeah. Sorry, all Cardinals tight end owners, myself included.
But guys, we've talked about the tight ends way too much already. We don't talk about tight ends here, so we're gonna move on.
Tight ends.
So
we're gonna give them a little love
for the tight ends, but we're gonna move on to my other what's in the flex, and that is another guy that benefited from an injury, but definitely has more upside than the previous mentioned Allen Robinson. That is Kadarius Toney of the Chiefs. As we know,
Went off.
Juju got hurt, got popped. Apparently, I didn't see the highlight, but everything I saw on Twitter saying that he got popped. So Kadarius Toney benefited from that. Had 19 points this week in our redraft league, and there's really not much to say here. We all know the justification behind it. The Chiefs' offense is explosive. Patrick Mahomes. Now he could potentially be the wide receiver one on that team if Juju is out. So Kadarius Toney, a pretty obvious guy that has ascended into flex position now, and he was also a high draft pick that didn't do shit with the Giants.
Yeah, it seemed like he just fell into that typical wide receiver like stereotype where if you don't want to play somewhere, you just pout and fake an injury or something, anything to get to another team. And he gets straight into one of the most productive offenses in the league with one of the best quarterbacks in the league in Patrick Mahomes. And
He,
Giants fans probably watched that game and were so mad. It would be like if Jalen Reagor went to the Vikings and just started to go off with Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins on the same team. That would have me fuming. So I'm sure Giants fan, dude, the Giants wide receiver room is, they don't even want it. What's the point of even having them on the field? Like, no one's to play football there unless
Dude,
it's Saquon Barkley.
that's what I'm saying. Like, why didn't they like hold on to Tony? I guess Kadarius Toney himself just didn't want to be in New York anymore because
Yeah.
it looks like the Giants could really use the Kadarius Toney right now.
what is with
Right.
the Giants and their wide receivers like not playing and not wanting to play? Now it was Kadarius. I mean, it's always been Kenny Galladay was before Kadarius Toney. Kenny Galladay and then Kadarius Toney. These guys, like especially Kadarius Toney, got drafted really high, and then all of a sudden, just like they don't either. I don't know what the deal was, but he just didn't play.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe just because like they're like a run first offense. Daniel Jones
Yeah,
doesn't have the best arm.
yeah.
That would piss me off if my job was to catch footballs thrown my way.
I know, but Kenny Galladay signed there knowing all of these parameters,
he was
and then
Exactly. I know.
in the first round.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. But Kenny Galladay looks like a complete bum. Like, I don't think he's arguably one of the worst contracts in football right now.
Oh yeah,
And
dude. He
then,
got the bag
It's
and was
probably
like, "Sweet, I'm good."
yeah, got my bag. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm just gonna sit. All right, this player definitely loves to play football, and he is ascending. I'm keeping my eye on this guy. In fact, I believe it was our very first episode when we did our waiver wire ads of the week. I said, "Go out and get Donovan Peoples-Jones," and
John.
I'm sure a lot of people. I,
Are we?
I'm sure a lot of people went and did that because he had a very good week 1. Then in week 2, donut. Week 3, he had 3 points or something like that. He was probably dropped. In fact, I believe I dropped him.
As
But
you should have.
then I noticed something around week 6 or so. I'm like, oh, since week 4, he's had 12 points, 9 points, 12 points, 11 points, 12 points. I'm like, if I
Whoa.
can get 10 points out of my flex each week, I'm not that mad. So I went ahead and picked him up. Well, this week against the Miami Dolphins, he was actually the wide receiver 1 on that team. Amari Cooper did not produce, and DPJ scored 15 points.
Wow.
So
Okay.
you have to monitor this closely because Deshaun Watson is about to be under center. We have to see if he's going to pick DPJ. But he's worth a stash, especially in deeper leagues, especially in dynasty leagues. I'm sure he's already on a team in dynasty leagues, but if he's not, go and get him. I'm not saying he's a high value ticket for trading or anything like that. But with Njoku out, he is the second option in terms of receivers. Just monitor DPJ, and for me, he's still riding my bench because I have Amari Cooper. So I guess I just love to pick a lot of players that are on the same team. But yeah, I'm not going to start Cooper and DPJ. I just got to hope that Cooper remains the wide receiver 1. But if you are a DPJ owner and he's on your bench, I'd consider putting him in the flex.
John, I Yeah, I don't think I could do it. I don't think I could do it.
Those
He's actually
points that I rattled off are nice. That's
you did
consistency, dude. He has a
no.
lot of big playability.
That does really surprise me. Am surprised that he's put up double digits that often. So yeah, with Deshaun Watson coming back, like you said, really don't know who he's gonna fall in love with in terms of his receivers or tight ends or anything like that. So in theory, it could be up for grabs. Amari Cooper obviously is the most talented on the team and has the most experience and all that stuff, has the better track record, but not out of the realm of possibility for Donovan Peoples-Jones to maybe become the wide receiver one on the Cleveland Browns.
Yes.
I wouldn't bet on it,
Maybe.
though.
Maybe. I personally think Deshaun Watson's going to come back and just play like absolute dog shit. Like, I think.
Really?
He hasn't played football in 3 years, and he's got these allegations hanging over his head. I just don't think it's going to be. And the Browns are just abysmal, just notoriously as a franchise. And so I think they'll find a way to screw this up. And I don't know. Call me crazy. Maybe it's because I hate the Browns. Maybe it's because it'll actually happen. But I don't know.
Maybe I'm biased because I have Deshaun Watson on my dynasty team. But I feel like this is like I don't want to say perfect situation, but he has one of the best offensive lines in football, and he has one of the best running games in football. I feel like it's a good recipe for him to have a lot of success. Maybe he won't be lighting it up immediately like he was back in Houston, and there'll definitely be some rust to knock off, but I don't see why he can't return to what he was. He's in a very good situation. Better situation, I think, than he was with the Texans for sure. John?
We'll see.
John, you're nodding your head. Does that mean you agree?
I think Deshaun Watson's going to be successful in Cleveland this year. Yeah.
Fantastic.
I don't. I need to see it first. You just can't play. You can't not play football in 2 years and come back and play lights out. It's just over 2 years.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I mean, he'll definitely play better with a full offseason. But if you drafted him and maybe you're in a keeper league and you got him in the later rounds and you notice that he still has the athletic ability, he might be worth a keep for next year.
Yeah, for sure. Paul, do you got one more flex for us, or is that all we got?
Yeah, I got one more, but unfortunately, you're not going to be able to plug him in flex this week because he is on bye. But I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about Rachaad White, somebody who we've been talking about for weeks to keep on your bench as a stash. He came out. I know Lenny got hurt at the end of the game, but even before that, Rachaad White was getting most of the work. He had 22 touches for over 100 yards, and he could have scored a touchdown on that last play, but he did the right thing and slid. So you fell victim to that. I know I certainly did, but I still came out with a win. But he is involved in the passing game. He usually gets around 3 to 4 targets a week. That didn't happen this week, but still, it wouldn't surprise me if after the bye, especially with Lenny being hobbled, that Rachaad White gets a lot of the first team reps. He gets a little more groove with Tom Brady. Don't be surprised if Rachaad White takes over this backfield. So he's definitely worth mine. Right now, he's in a 50-50 split with a healthy Lenny Fournette, putting up around 10 points a week. The upside is there. Why not throw him in your flex after the bye?
I like it.
Paul has been saying this for weeks, so it's gotta happen at some point. I do think it's like inching closer to that. It's just a matter of if it'll happen like before the fantasy season is over. But I definitely could see him next year being like the RB1 in Tampa.
Oh, so, I need a keeper. I need a keeper this year, unless Jameson Williams works out.
Yeah, keep an eye on Rachaad White. But all right, guys, those were good. Thank you, as always, for listening. We will be back tomorrow for Get That Corn Out of My Face.
Get that corn out of my face.
Get that corn out of my face.
As always, we are the Eye Test Fantasy Football Podcast on Spotify and Apple. We are on TikTok, the Eye Test Pod 1. We are on YouTube newly, so if you're watching this there, welcome. And we are on Instagram as well. The Eye Test Pod. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. We'll see you tomorrow. Peace.
See you guys.
Peace.